Welcome back to Level Up at 60. Last week, we talked about building your reinvention roadmap. We focused on creating direction without pressure and choosing focus without overwhelm. We talked about alignment instead of urgency and intention instead of perfection. This week, we're adding an essential piece to that roadmap, one that quietly supports everything else you want to build in this next chapter. Today, we're talking about lifelong learning. Because reinvention doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens when we stay curious. It happens when we remain capable. And it happens when we trust our ability to learn something new, even when it feels unfamiliar, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when we haven't done it in a long time. Today's episode is about creating your literacy toolkit. And just to be clear, this is not about academic literacy. It's not about grades, degrees, or classrooms. This is about practical, everyday learning skills that support growth, adaptability, confidence, and independence in real life. At any age, and especially now. Somewhere along the way, many people start believing that learning belongs to the young. That belief can creep in quietly. It may show up as hesitation, as avoidance, as self-doubt, as thoughts like, I should already know this, or it's probably too late, or I'm just not good at that. But that belief quietly limits possibility. The truth is, learning after 60 is one of the most powerful tools you have. It keeps your mind engaged, it strengthens confidence, it expands opportunity, and it reduces the fear that often comes with change. Learning isn't about mastery, it's about momentum. When you stay open to learning, you stay open to life. You stay engaged with the world instead of withdrawing from it. You remind yourself that growth is still available to you and that you are still capable of adapting, understanding, and evolving. And that matters. So let's talk about what we really mean by literacy. Literacy today goes far beyond reading and writing. In this season of life, literacy includes understanding new systems, navigating information, asking good questions, knowing where to look for answers, and just as importantly, knowing when to stop looking. It's about being able to find what you need, evaluate it without overwhelm, and use it wisely in your own life. That's empowering at any age. But it's essential now because so much of modern life requires us to process information constantly. Healthcare decisions, financial choices, technology updates, work transitions, even everyday communication all require a level of literacy that wasn't necessary decades ago. Having a literacy toolkit doesn't mean you know everything. It means you know how to learn what you need, when you need it, without shame or fear. Your literacy toolkit has several core areas, and they work together to support your independence and confidence. One part of the toolkit is information literacy. This is about knowing how to find reliable information without drowning in it. It's about recognizing credible sources, understanding bias, and giving yourself permission to step away when information overload starts to cloud clarity. Another part is digital literacy. This doesn't mean being an expert in technology. It means being comfortable enough to use basic tools without fear. It means understanding just enough to send an email, attend a virtual meeting, access an online account, or learn a new platform when needed. Digital confidence opens doors, it reduces frustration, and it keeps you connected. Financial literacy is another essential piece. This is about understanding money decisions well enough to make informed choices. You don't need to become a financial professional. You just need enough understanding to ask good questions, recognize red flags, and feel confident advocating for yourself. Health literacy is equally important. This includes understanding medical information, knowing how to prepare for appointments, asking questions, and making informed decisions about your care. It also means trusting yourself to speak up, even when situations feel intimidating. And finally, learning literacy. This is about knowing how you learn best. Some people learn visually, some learn by doing, some need conversation, repetition, or written notes. There is no correct way to learn. There is only your way. Honoring how you learn makes learning sustainable instead of exhausting. You don't need to master all of these areas at once. You just need awareness and intention. Even small improvements create meaningful confidence over time. Now let's address something important, something that often goes unspoken. Many women hesitate to learn something new, not because they can't, but because they're afraid of feeling behind, afraid of asking what they think are obvious questions, afraid of looking inexperienced or out of place. That hesitation isn't about ability, it's about permission. At some point, many of us internalize the idea that we should already know things, that being a beginner is embarrassing, that asking questions is a weakness. But here's the truth. You are allowed to be a beginner again. You are allowed to ask questions. You are allowed to learn at your pace, in your way, without apology. Learning is not a weakness. It's a declaration of self-respect. It's you saying, I matter enough to understand my world. And now let's talk about sustainability. Learning does not require classrooms or credentials. It doesn't require long hours or pressure. It requires short, focused sessions, clear intentions, practical application, and gentle consistency. 15 minutes a few times a week is enough. What matters isn't speed, it's engagement. Sustainable learning fits into your life. It supports your energy instead of draining it. It respects your rhythms instead of fighting them. The goal isn't to know everything. The goal is to stay capable, confident, and curious. So let's pause for a moment of reflection. Ask yourself, what do I want to feel more confident doing? What have I been avoiding because it feels unfamiliar or intimidating? And what kind of learner am I really? Visual, hands-on, conversational, reflective. Write it down if you can, or simply name it to yourself. That awareness becomes your starting point. And remember, this literacy toolkit isn't about catching up. It's about moving forward with intention and dignity. Next week, we'll step into professional power moves and talk about career pivots and transferable skills. We'll explore how to recognize what you already bring to the table and how to reposition it with confidence and clarity without starting over or selling yourself short. As you reflect on today's conversation, take note of what stayed with you. And remember, you don't need to have everything figured out right now. If you'd like to explore this topic more deeply, the guided reflections and worksheets for this episode are available inside the Level Up at 60 Season 1 workbook, created to support you as you move forward at your own pace. And if community feels like the next step, the Level Up Circle offers a welcoming monthly space for women approaching 60 or who have already reached that milestone and beyond, who are ready to grow, connect, and rise together. Until then, keep leveling up. Your legacy is just beginning.